A small business loan program we've all talked about, authorized in that stimulus package, will be up and running starting today. And Jen, we had him on a couple of weeks ago. He was great. Glenn Wiggle from the Financial Guys. I show you here, right here at 850 WFTL on the weekends. 1 to 2 on Saturday, 10 to 11 on Sunday. Glenn, thanks for coming on again to try to straighten us out in this entire thing, because you've probably gotten as many questions as, probably more than we have, but there's been a lot of confusion about this program so far, hasn't there?
Well, there has been, only because the program just came out, and of course we're all trying to interpret the bill. The bill was thousands, of pages, so you got to go through it all and try to figure it out. And so there's been some, misinformation out there, but they're starting to clear it up. So we're getting there. So basically, the way this program works, and it is for both self-employed individuals or 1099 contractors or small business owners that have payroll. This is the Payroll Protection Program, or PPP, that I'm talking about here. And what it does basically is it gives you more or less 2.5 months of your income. So if you're a self-employed individual, you go back and you look at all your 1099 income for the previous 12 months.
Right.
To a max of 100, you divide that by 12 and then multiply it by 2.5, and that's what you can potentially qualify for. If you're a small business owner and you have payroll, then you would add up all of your payroll plus your taxes, insurance, and any retirement match that you had. And then same thing, divide by 12, multiply by 2.5, and that's going to give you the amount for you and your employees as a small business. If you use it. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry about that. It was so that's basically for a small business owner. You can look at then, it kind of sort of breaks down to then, I guess, your average month of payroll, and then you multiply by that by like 2.5. Is that a close estimate?
Exactly. And then you can use it.
Now, Glenn, there was different
payroll,
stories, though, in regard to
utilities, payroll taxes, interest, even rent. So that's mortgage payments and so on for a business.
What about people who are forced to close and then had to hire or fire their employees? Do they have to hire those people back to qualify for the loan?
So that's the second part of it. And so if you use it in the next, so let's say you get the loan next Monday. You've got 8 weeks to use it, and you've got to spend that money on qualified expenses, which would include not only payroll, but also any health insurance, utility, or rent payments as well. So whatever you don't spend at the end of that 8-week period, you're going to have to square up with the bank and figure out what was not used for a qualified purpose. Anything that's not used then turns into a loan that's not forgiven that you pay back over a 10-year period.
That's it. There was another, because I'm just bringing this from personal perspective, because my wife and I own a small business, Glenn. We have about 14 employees, but something my wife discovered only last night, and trust me, she's been on phone calls and group chats and all this other stuff for 10 days to try to figure it out. We realized something else in this last night we learned was that if you have a small business, an SBA loan, they're going to postpone some payment dues on this thing too, aren't they? That's part of this that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, so there's a part of the SBA side as well where you can actually borrow money from the SBA also. So they're doing things like, forgiving interest and pushing back loan payments and things like that. You can also go to the SBA.gov and draw a loan from the SBA as part of this program, but it's not part of the PPP program. It's a separate program. But you can't do both. If you do one, then you shouldn't go and do the other. And really, from our analysis and everything we've looked at, the PPP, that Paycheck Protection Program, seems to be a better program simply because they're forgiving up to 100% of the amount of money that you borrow.
Do you see another one of these stimulus packages in the future?
I do, actually. I think that you could potentially see, I know President Trump wants to see an infrastructure package. Maybe we can actually use our infrastructure this time. I mean, we do have legitimately, crumbling roads and bridges in a lot of parts of the country. I come from Buffalo, New York, and if you've ever traveled up north, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, it's like riding down a dirt road half the time because the potholes and the roads are falling apart. Part of that is due to neglect, part of that's due to weather. But I do think President Trump will put on the table another stimulus package to try to jumpstart the economy even more and get people back to work once we open this thing back up.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that be a good time to do it, actually? Because there's never been a better time with close to zero or 0% interest to try to – we could get a lot more for our buck, in other words, as a taxpayer if we did that, right?
Absolutely. And there's going to be, a lot of folks that are itching to get back to work. I mean, I like what Governor DeSantis is doing in Florida. I mean, he announced this past week that, hey, the roads are empty. No one's out there driving. Construction workers need something to do. Let's start fixing the roads. Makes absolute sense. On a federal level, to borrow money at zero where we're at and then to finally fix some of these things, as long as it goes to those purposes, I think is great. If it goes to, shoring up pensions like the last time, and we hear that, well, the shovel-ready jobs weren't so shovel-ready, I don't think the American people are going to be very happy, but I think President Trump will do a much better job if he can get it passed and direct it where it needs to go, and that is actually into infrastructure improvements.
If what we've asked this question many times, though, as we started to get the details about, the small business package here, just our example here, we started off with, Glenn, 2.5 times, your average payroll per month, whatever. What if there are a lot of small businesses out there without a big staff, though? I mean, what is, let's say, the liquor store owner who really has himself and some part-time kid do? Does somebody in that kind of an example get a lot less? Are they going to wind up getting kind of like, the short end of the stick in a deal like this?
Well, they might. I mean, it's based on your payroll, right? So this loan or this money is supposed to go pay for your salaries. It's the Paycheck Protection Program. So if you're not protecting any employees' paychecks, then you're probably really not entitled to the money.
Yeah.
If you are a sole proprietor, let's say that you have, one part-time employee, you could qualify potentially under that 1099 side of it and look at it more of the independent contractor. But that's going to really be determined by the banks. And, again, there's still some questions surrounding this. So what I'd recommend everybody is get in contact with your bank. Every bank can do this. Some are more ahead of the curve than others. We contacted about 4 major banks. Only one was actually ready by yesterday to start getting out information and talking about it. So
wow.
This is a first come, first serve. This is available till the end of June. But I would be shocked if the money is available, much past a few weeks because, there's everybody in the country starting to apply for this. So if you are somebody who qualifies for this, I would definitely encourage you, reach out to your local bank, find that information on it. If you need us, certainly go to our website. You can find us, financialguys.com, and you can reach out to us through that as well, and we can try to provide you with some contact and some information as well.
It's really important, and it's vitally important actually at this point in time to try to get people back to work, protect that payroll as well, and get small business open again. So it's awesome. It's Glenn Wiggle. Thanks as always for the info, buddy. Financial Guys, 1 to 2 on Saturday, 10 to 11 on Sunday, right here on the air at 850WFTL.com. But again, online, how do we reach out to you again?
TheFinancialGuys.com, or you can call us at 833-FIN-GUYS.
Beautiful. That's awesome, buddy. Thanks for everything and
Thanks,
giving us the information.
Thanks,